Alright, this is part two for basic Linux teaching and exploitation red team stuff. So I promised you that I'd just kind of have a demonstration of where you'll eventually be at, like as far as your like foundational skills in Linux for accomplishing some task. Okay. This task for today is we're going to try two different exploits. One, we're going to try and exploit a machine, a virtual machine, that's purposefully weak. It's actually built like Swiss cheese. And we're going to try and exploit that and gain access to it. But either before or after, I think after that, we're also going to do live webcam hack. So we're going to look for some webcams that are online, and we're going to attempt to get access to their feeds responsibly. We're going to wind up contacting them to let them know, and maybe they can patch their security. Okay. So first things first, let's get our remote desktop. So I'm going to remote desktop into my other computer, the one that's behind my shoulder, and the one that acts like my server. And I'm going to log into it. Alright, next. And let's get our terms up, make sure they're running. Alright, cool. Alright, and the first thing we're going to do is we are going to do the machine first. So I have a purposefully weak virtual machine. Let me load up my virtual machine manager. Okay, and here's VirtualBox, and here's the machine powered off. And I'm not going to do anything other than turn it on. I'm not going to log into it. Nothing. We're going to log in. We're going to put it in the background. Just know that this computer has its own IP address, just like any other computer on the network. So for all intents and purposes, it is its own computer. So it's setting up the operating system and starting the different weak services. This is just giving us an update as to the different tools that it's loaded. And it's asking us to log in, but we don't have to log in. We're just going to leave it fake. In fact, I'm going to hit the X button. And no, I don't want to do any of that. I'm going to keep it running. So let's minimize. Cool. You could also start it in headless mode, which means there's no screen. It just like starts the machine almost as if it's got no monitor. But for this purposes, this is what we want. And does it give us an IP address anywhere? I know what the IP address is, but I want you to see it. So maybe we will log in real quick just so you can see what the IP address is of this. Admin. Okay, and we're going to do IPA for IP address. And we can see that, ooh, actually I'm glad I checked because it looks like it assigned it a different IP address. Before it was 192.168.1.187. And it seems it's got a new IP address, 192.168.1.193. So, it's good information to know because that's the machine we need to try and attack. Alright, so back to, I'm going to minimize all the VirtualBox Manager. Again, this is running on the Windows machine, whereas this pink machine in the back is a totally different computer. Like literally a physically different computer that I'm just logged into through this monitor. Alright, so I'm going to close the Windows VirtualBox Manager, I'm just going to minimize it, and I'm going to minimize that screen for that. One more thing I'm going to do before I minimize that, actually, is we're going to make a file so we can know if we got in where we're supposed to be at. So right now, let's go to the home directory, which should be where we're at, and we're going to make a file. And I'm just going to name it after myself, so that way we know it's the weak file. So I'm just going to touch. Actually, we use nvim. Nvim max file dot exploited. If I can spell. Okay. And the only reason we made this file, oh yeah, that's right. They probably don't have NeoVim installed, but they probably have Vim installed. I'm just gonna put some letters in there. Let's put hello world. wrote the file, and you can see it right there. It's called mass file by ls in a list format. You can see right there. So we know if we ever see this file again and we don't have this little window open, that we've successfully hacked this machine, okay? Because we would have to be in this machine, in this account, in order to see that file again. Okay, makes sense? Okay, cool. So we're gonna now close this or minimize it, and we're gonna make sure we can see our IP is 192.168.1.185. Let's make sure we can talk to it first. So ping 192.168.1.193, and we can see it's responding back successfully. That's great news, which means that we can attack it. The next thing that we're going to do is we're going to do a basic Nmap scan to get an idea, kind of an overview, and it's a fast scan. So it's an Nmap, and remember I told you flags, they're like different options you can set. So I'm doing flag F for fast scan, okay? And then I need to give it the IP address, 192.168.1.193. And we're going to press enter. So again, Nmap stands for Network Mapper, and it's got just as many offensive purposes as it does defensive purposes. When you want to know about what's running on what port, this is the program to turn to, okay? It's simple, it's powerful, it's got lots of scripts built into it for exploitation, and it's also totally looked at as a totally legitimate tool. This happens pretty often in the cybersecurity community, where there's like tools that are built which like have lots of nefarious purposes, but it's not kind of like, you know, like some company associated with Microsoft is going to put out some stuff, you know, that's dangerous. They don't. So yeah, that's a big difference. Thank goodness for open source software. Okay, so the results that we got back, as you saw, we got back results real quick. Now, depending, it may take hours for results to come back if you are doing a very thorough type scan. But we can see these ports just from our basic scan. All right. Let's actually check, because that only does the top 1,000 ports, and every IP address has 65,000 possible ports that could be hosting some service, right? So instead of the flag F, we're going to do flag P flag, and we're going to do a flag ST scan. Now you're saying, how am I going to memorize these? But after using this tool enough, you memorize them, you figure them out. And by the way, flag P flag means all ports, not just the top 1,000 ports, all of them. And ST is the type of scan, and it's a TCP scan, okay? So that's what that means. And we press enter. Now, at any point in Nmap, you can press spacebar and get an idea of like what percentage done it is for any one stage, and a rough estimate of how long is remaining, but it's highly, highly inaccurate. It says 4 seconds left. Oh, well, in this case, it actually was accurate. But look, so many more ports are shown, right? Interesting. Some with unknown, some, all sorts of other ports that are in addition to these ports here. All right, so that was a more thorough scan. Still wasn't the most thorough scan, but it is a thorough scan. This is not enough to exploit, though. What we need is we need to not only, and by the way, exploitation, it's number one, finding the IP address of the computer you're trying to hack, okay? Step 2 is identifying an open service on some port that's listening for a connection. Because unless it's listening, you can't connect to it. Make sense? So all these ports represent some service that's listening. Maybe it's an FTP server waiting for somebody to connect so they can download files. Or maybe it's a display manager so somebody can remote desktop to their computer. Or maybe it's an SQL database, which is like a database full of like, I don't know, all sorts of information. Or a Postgres SQL database. Or maybe it's some system function like registry or the shell. So there's a million things that go on a computer that it might be doing, that it's like listening for stuff to happen. Now this is all supposing that you get past the firewall. So we have to talk about firewall evasion at some point, but not for a basic course. This is the most. This is the start. So identifying the ports. Now that we have the ports, I told you it's not enough to just have the port. We need to not only know the service, but we need to have a version for the service. Because if you look up any exploits, every exploit is applicable to some update, right? So maybe it's update 3.8 or update 3.8.1 or X11 protocol 2.2.4, okay? if it's updated to 2.2.5, you're screwed. You know, it's probably been patched at that point, right? So every exploit has kind of like some expiration date of like, you know, this is what version it's good on, right? It's good at this, you know, if the computer's been updated to this level, you can exploit it, but any further and this exploit's been patched. Okay, and patch means you can't exploit it. Okay, so this information doesn't tell us the version. We need a different command with nmap. So we're going to switch around our command and we're going to specify the port, because if we try and do this to every port, it's going to take literally forever. Okay. In fact, we're going to start that in the background. We're just going to try every port and we're going to do flag SV for version. It's going to check for the version of software, and C basic scripts. Okay. We're going to sit this in the background on a different terminal actually. I'm going to press enter just so it's in my history, and press Command C to stop it. And I'm going to open up this side terminal, and we're going to see if we can, let's see, it's not there. Okay, so we'll just retype it out again. So it was, oh, there it is. So nmap, flag st, flag p flag, flag svc, and then 192.168.1.193. And we'll just let that run in the background, okay? But as for this one, we're going to actually specify the port. So we're going to take away the flag at the end, so it's not open, so it's not checking every port. And we're going to start with just the first one, 21. All right, it's running FTP, FTP service. And so this command should run and get a version and run a basic script to see if we can get any more information out of it. Done. And we can see that this is running VS-FTPD, which is the actual program. So it's probably a Linux system, and it's running 2.3.4. All right, that's our information that we absolutely need to hack the system. Now the script's got us this information, like anonymous FTP login allowed. Like we can probably log in with an anonymous token without even giving a password. It also says there's no session bandwidth. There'll just be a lot of information based on whatever script it is and whatever it's identified. Okay, so next order of business is we have this piece of information here. We're going to run MSF console. All right. This is a fancy little program that makes exploitation a little easier. So search for 2.3.4. Boom. These are the different exploits available. They're numbered 1 to 7. And we're going to now look what they do. And the only one that's highlighted for 2.3.4 is this VSFTPD 2.3.4, so the right version. Backdoor command execution, which is exactly what we want. It's ranked excellent, so it's a good exploit and it's easy probably to utilize. This is when it was disclosed on or what was found. And here's the exploit. So we're going to say, all right, we want to use that. It's as simple as saying use 5. Okay, and it loads that exploit. Now we type show options or show show payload. Let's try show payload. Okay, I'm sorry, show options. Okay, this is what it's expecting. If it's required, it'll be here. So there's only one setting that doesn't have something in it, and that is required, and that is the R host. And that's just saying we have to set the remote host or the other computer we want to hack. All right. So we're going to set that. Set our hosts to 192.168.1.193. Done. Now when we show options, we can see that it's set. We also know that it's running on port 21 because we actually can't see it, but when we ran nmap, it said it was on port 21. So this is set correctly. We don't have to worry about this right now. This is something else. And this is if it's required, like if we have to set our own, sometimes we have to set our own IP or port so that it can connect back to us, but it's not required here. So this is actually the only piece of information we have to give it. And then all we have to do if we want to run the exploit is run exploit and cross our fingers. Now it's saying please specify the password. Interesting. Okay. Well, looks like our results came back on the right, by the way. This is a lot of good information. Okay, so we have to figure out why it didn't work. It's the right computer. Okay. Info module info. We're going to type info. Okay. And it gives us information about it. do info flag D. Okay, there's the documentation for it. Alright. So it said no session was created. I need to know what to do when it says that. It is. Yes, they are. Nope, there isn't. That's a good idea. Okay. I'm just asking it. I spelled it wrong. But what's the TCP? There's a TCP reverse shell. Yeah, reverse TCP. That's perfect. That's what we want. So we're gonna actually set that. So let's set. We're gonna do a different payload. So set payload. So the exploit and payload are two different things. The exploit is how we get the payload in there. Okay. And we're gonna set the payload to Windows/Meterpreter / reverse TCP. Okay, that should work. Okay. Oh, it's not reverse. It's not Windows, but it should have still worked. There we go. That's what we should use. Use exploit. That's right. It's a Unix system. FTP. VS FTPD 2.2.4 backdoor. Good. Now show troops. Okay, we got it set. Let's try it. Okay. Says it found a shell. Okay. We may be in. Okay. Remember what I told you about that file? Boom. Hello world, this machine was successfully exploited. Alright, now we're seeing a reflection of the file that's running in here. There it is, Matt's file that exploited. So you can see I'm successfully in this machine. We can prove it by making a file. Stupid file. See? Alright, so we successfully exploited this machine. At this point we would do like maybe privilege escalation, but that's a little bit beyond the scope for today. Okay, so that is successfully hacking a machine in like a home lab. We're gonna exit and shut down this machine. And by the way, this is all the information that we got based on that big Nmap scan. We scanned every port. We can see things like SSH, like what version of SSH is running, the fact it's running OpenSSH 4.7 P1. What else? It's got NSID DNS stuff. It's got an Apache web server running. What else? What is this? Oh, it actually reached out for RPC to see some of the stuff that it could run. That's cool. Alright, and then it tells us the work group, like the name of the work group inside when it's using NetBIOS. And what else? Bind shell. Another FTP server, this one's Pro FTPD 1.3.1, so which is another exploit, and MySQL. And then what else? We have VNC authentication, and then the type. And what else? Anything beautiful? Apache Tomcat server. And then SMB, which is standard message block. It actually tells us that we can use the account name guest, and we'll have user level authentication, which is cool. And then message sending is disabled, which means that we can probably run scripts on it. So that's information we got there. And then information about SMB, and this thing about the clock. Cool. So that's a lot of good information. We're now going to click clear. All done. And we're going to move on to basics of CAM exploitation, and this is a very simple and quick exercise. Again, this is just security research, no damage. It's going to be taken. We won't be putting these people's cameras at risk. In fact, they're sitting there on the internet right now at risk. So if we document any open IP addresses and are able to get snapshots and it appears that something is sensitive, I'll do my best to get in touch with them and help them to patch that. But again, this should be used for malevolent exploitation. But a lot of times this will provide the entry point into a local network. So let's get started. I don't know if you've heard of a program called Shodan. I'll pull it up on the web and it will probably make more sense, but I do use it on a command line. You log in real quick. And so what Shodan is it's a computer that just scans the open internet, and like every 6 days it winds up completing like every IP address combination and checking to see what computers are up and what ports they're running and what services they're running. So it's a whole database of stuff. So if you wanted to know like open webcams, we type camera, and you can see there's 3.7 million cameras that are exploited. We could sort by country, we could sort by port, we could sort by like the type of response that it gives, or the product that it is, or the operating system that it's running. Like here's the information that it gets back from this particular IP address, the country, all the information that you need. This is how hackers generally find targets. There's a couple different services that offer this type of thing, but if you want to be exploiting machines and you need to identify, where these services may be running, you need a way to identifying, where these machines might live, right? So I utilize it for just security research, so I'm able to filter down my searches based on some recent exploit, so I can identify ones that are in some geographic area, like my area, so I can help better protect local businesses and people that might have sensitive things just open to the internet, because a lot of times these cameras are built insecure on purpose. But okay, so now that I've explained what Shodan is, by the way, let's look at some real quick interesting searches. So let's see, I'm sure that there are some interesting ones somewhere. Let's see, what are my last searches? Let's try yeah, that's right. Let's look online first. Some on GitHub. Good. So, these Samsung electronic billboards have known exploits with them. So we can do a search just for this right here. See if anything pops up. A lot of times they fix these in most areas, but there's still some results, I believe. There's still one, likely a honeypot of some sort. It said it's in the United States. Whether it's actually one, I'm not sure, but it's good for them that there's not a lot available anymore. Gas station pump controllers. This would be our search query. $5,000 in the United States. Automatic license plate readers. None. Good. Traffic light controllers, red light cameras, MikroTik. There's a lot, always vulnerability with those guys. $20. Interesting. In New York City, and one in Philadelphia. I mean, theoretically, these are exploitable in some way. Voting machines. Last time I checked, it was locked. More than I would have liked. 23. Including their serial numbers. Either don't have passwords on them, or they're just sitting out there, or maybe they're honeypots. But no, not all these are honeypots. I've been keeping an eye on these for a while. Okay, what's the historical trend? It's been the rough historical trend of how many have been available. Just the United States. Well, just for this brand. But anyway, so you can find a lot of shit. See if there's any other interesting things on here. Submarine mission control dashboard. I don't think there's any of these online anymore. Once they caught on, that could be a dangerous thing to have out there. Oh god. Incredible. And the account that I have, it actually will tell us the vulnerabilities that are on here. It'll explain the CVEs, the critical vulnerabilities, and there's a lot of them. So this is almost certainly a honeypot. It's got too many holes. Do get a lot of good information here. Figure out what this is. Okay, that's enough of that. So now that I've explained what Showdown is, I utilize it on the command line. So I can do Showdown search, camera, for example. I get all these results back. There's not much I can do with those results because there's a ton of garbage underneath. So I'm going to specify the fields I want. I want the IP string. That's it. Actually, pretend I want IP string port. There we go. And we want 1,000 results, not 100. And press enter. Alright. And so if I output this to a file with this redirector, and that's the cool thing about Linux is the See all this text just came to the screen when I press enter here? Not that text, but this text right here, the results. Well, we can, instead of displaying it to the screen, we can use a redirector to redirect it to a file. And so that's exactly what we're going to do. Okay. And so if we cat that file out, should in blah 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 blah. We're going to delete these showed in our camera for the moment. Actually, let's just move it. Let's rename it. Okay, and there's the files that are in here. We have the showed in result.showdown. Let's see how many there are. I can use a little program called word count, but I don't want to know the number of words. I want to know how many lines there are. That will tell me how many results there are. Oh yeah, I got to tell what file. An argument. The argument and the file name is showed in results. There we go. There's 1,001 results in it. If we look at it in Endvim, you can see it starts perfectly and has IP and port. But what I really need is only the IP. Okay, I was just showing you multiple lines, so we're just going to we're going to go back to our command. We're pressing up. All right, and we get back to this command. Actually, we want this command, and we don't want port. We're just going to take away port and press enter. Okay, and now if we go back to that cat command, so we can, I don't see it. Let's just cat it out. There we go. Now we have IPs. Good. No ports. All right. Now we're going to take that result. I'm going to clear my screen. Okay. I'm going to take these results now, and I'm going to move them into a program called Ingram. And I'm in the folder right now for Ingram. You can see the run ingram.py. So I'm actually going to do // meaning right here. I want to run ingram.py. And I want to do flag I to specify an input file. And the file I want to give it is the showdown results.showdown. And then I have to specify an output folder. Okay, because this thing's going to chunk through that list and it needs to output the results somewhere. So we're going to call this skill set output. Okay, and we can specify ports, but we're not going to. We're just going to run it like this. Now we wait. You see that I got a result already. So what this program does is it checks for either exploitable webcams or camera setups, and then we'll take snapshots, perfect timing, if it's able to actually access any cameras. So we can tell based on the amount of snapshots how many cameras we have access to, because for each IP it may be hosting multiple cameras. So it's checking, it's checking for things with either weak credentials, default credentials, or a vulnerability that it can exploit. And so this can take a while, but we don't have to wait for it to be done to start looking at the results. Let's get another GoC term. And let's use, let's go to that folder. So we got to go back in the Ingram folder. And we can see I got that output down there, bottom right. Skill set that output. Let's go in there. And let's ls to list the files again. And we can see we have log.txt. Let's cat that out and look what it says. Alright, it's telling us all of the IPs, all the things that it's doing. Alright, we have the not vulnerable. So these are IPs that are not easily vulnerable, so we have to find another way with them. Or we just add them to a list and just don't attack them. You know, those are two options. But we have results.csv, and that's the good one. So this tells us all of the results. So you can see these are the webcams that are currently open, and these are the username and passwords. Again, it's either because of a default password, an easy password, or something that's vulnerable to a critical vulnerability. All right, and these are just the ones so far, because we can see it's still running. And it has about, 700 left. Now what I should have done is made sure that I was connected to a VPN, which I am. Okay, we're in good shape here. And how are we going to check? Well, we're going to do curl ifconfig.me to get our IP address. That's the IP6 address. I want the IPv4. There it is. And now if I do a whois for that, it should tell me who this IP belongs to. And we can see here, now while the company is owned in DC, we are actually connected. Where is that? Germany. DE, Germany. Alright, so that's a good sign. And we can make sure that our VPN is up like this too. I use Moldat. Okay. Oh yeah, that's right. Alright, I actually don't run it that way. I use WireGuard for this. So I just know that it's up because of the IP address. Okay, cool. So this thing's still running. Look, we got 39 snapshots, 13 IPs. So let's take a look at what these snapshots look like. Okay, these are all the pictures in list format. Now, how do we look at them? We can use kitten. I think it's iCat, and then we have the first one. There we go. Looks like a farm of some sort. Second one, some industrial plant. Not too concerned about these. Let's make it a little easier on ourselves. Let's download a program so that we can easily browse these images. Mirage is one. Good. Now protect Mirage. It doesn't load. Let's try and load it another way. Since it's a GUI program. Let's try like this. Okay, it's not happy about that. Let's try it a different way. Let's try it from the SSH session. Okay. GI. I'm not sure what that error is, so I'm gonna look it up. Got it. Okay, there's no package name in that. Interesting. Okay, how do I get this in? G object. Tried that. Using AI and the other computer to figure this one out. I'm not even sure why G's having an issue. From here's actually G object. Environment. So I found 50 cameras. It's pretty good. Let's bring it back up. 16. And Geo, maybe it's Geo. Is this it? Which is an image viewer. And in fact, this part is not that important, but oh wait, there's a mirage right there. Let's try with that out. Okay, this is probably an easier way to do it. That was a issue just with that. Alright, so let's go to Ingram. Let's go into skill set output. Let's go to snapshot. Here we go. Now it's easier to go through. And start with the first one. Okay, so there's some blanks in here. Oh, sorry, no slideshow. All right, let's maximize the screen. All right, somebody's boat. All right. Industrial yard. Somebody's house. It's a nice house. Yeah, we gotta probably figure out whose that is. Should be working in China. I probably won't contact them. Looks like a bunch of these cameras are from China. Given they're using most of these, that's not too surprising. Alright, so last thing we're going to do is we're actually going to try and connect to a live stream of one of these. So I built actually a tool. I'm not sure if it's going to run, and I'm sure it's going to work, honestly, because I haven't tested it in a while, but let's see if it works. First thing we need is we need that list. The list of vulnerable ones. Alright, there we go. Alright, and you can start with the first one right up here. Not all these are going to work, but some of them will. Just be patient. You just copy when I do that. Let's see. Alright. Maybe a pain in the butt, isn't it? Alright, let's try it anyway. Let's try. So here's so /RTSP watch, which is what I made. And then I think I got to give it the IP here. 131.126.31. And then there we go. Alright, the username is admin. And the password is admin 12345. So it found the OpenRTSP port. It's gonna work. Cool. Well, maybe it won't because I think it actually. Does it use Mirage? No, it doesn't use Mirage. It should work. Let's see what happens. We have to wait for it to finish. So it's gonna scan for all the channels first. It's gonna scan for 16 in total. That's the cool thing about Linux is that you can go make these tools once you understand the basics. It's like knowing how to play with Legos versus already made toys, right? In Windows, you get already made toys that are made in factories called programs that are like well tested, well debugged, but they're super difficult to understand how they work or to get in there and change anything. In this case, we're learning how to play with Legos, right? And we're learning how to build these toys ourselves. That's why I have advantages to that. So far we have 7 cameras in this network. Once it gets through scanning, it'll give us a, I think it'll connect us to the first one, and then we can go back and forward and actually watch these live streams, which is pretty neat. Almost done. I made an updated program that actually adds them to a database. So that way you don't have to keep typing in the username and password. You can just reconnect to them later if you need to. Two more, I think. Should be it. Unless it runs the second set. I think it's since it identified it as so I checked for there's 2 different brands that I always get results from, so I have it check all the channels in one band. I don't think I have it checked for the others. There we go, perfect. Alright, so now it says reviewing channel 1, and it should pop up a window. There we go. And this is a live stream. You can even see the time. Right now it's 03:41 in China or wherever. This must be somewhere in China or Japan or something. If we hit N, we go to the next, or we should go to the next one. There we go, N. And we wait. Looks like the same thing. Next, N. See, we're just keep connecting to channel 1. No problem now. What we'll do is we'll go back to channel list. Let's try and manually type in a channel like 16. I might have to update my code. Hey. Okay. Let's try a different host. This one. 85.71.188.218. Admin. ASDF 1234. I almost wonder, so I still got the other program. Let me see if I can grab it from my backup drive, because I just haven't moved it over yet. So I'm going to move to this mounted drive. And then, where did I put it? It should be under... Moved everything in here so that's a mess. Is there a projects folder? Yes, there is. Definitely in there. Might be this one. Yeah, this is a new version. Alright, so I just want to check 4 cams. We're doing a new discovery, and we'll give it that one 85.71.188.218. Username admin. ASDF1234. Just 4 channels. Hopefully let's just jump to the channels. See, I added some colors and some things like that. See, I know I can see one thing that looks like it's going wrong. It's like checking and it sees something on the first camera and then it goes to the second type of camera. So I might have to go and change the code a bit. Oh, what a great camera! Next. Alright, looks like I gotta change the code because it's looping through the same camera. Even before. Well, we can at least look at one camera. Let's try one last one. Both those were Hikvision. Is there anything other than, yeah, Dowhow. Maybe I'll get better results with the Dowhow. Alright, so let's try it. So let's do Q to quit. I don't remember if I put it in now or later. 67. Check 4 cams. Okay, new discovery. Oh shit. Alright, so now it's doing N for new discovery, target IP 166.253.51.67. Username admin. Password admin. Something in my logic for checking the channels, because it looks like it's not even running the channels on the DAO one. Either way. I was able to show you screenshots and a couple live streams, but I wasn't able to scan through the channel. It's still a success, and you can see just how many cameras are weak on the internet. Exit this one, and it's still running the last 5, but pretty much it found 36 networks with 50 cameras. Some of those were off, some of those were repeats. So still a lot of results, and that was just, we could sort by state, I could sort by city, and just start going through like city by city by city. There's millions of cameras out there that are available on the internet that are accessible. So lots of people need to be told about it. I don't know. Maybe there needs to be a public service announcement or something. Okay. So that was general exploitation. It's been about an hour. I think that I've made up for my being late. And yeah, if you want to work together, and I'm late again, I'll give you a free session, I guess. I don't know. I've already done that a few times, but I don't think I'll be late next time. Yeah. Anyway, all right. God bless. See ya.